So I fell asleep almost immediately after finishing the Tarkovsky movie I watched last night, so I went to sleep. Figured I'd review it in the morning. The more Tarkovsky I watch, the more I don't particularly like his films. As I said in my previous review, I think they're beautifully made, but I just am not digging them. And I think I found a pull quote that really understands me. This is from Vincent Canby's review of Nostalgia. He said, Mr. Tarkovsky, whose earlier films include Andrei Rublev, Solaris, and Stalker, may well be a film poet, but he's a film poet with a tiny vocabulary. The same eventually boring images keep recurring in film after film, shots of damp landscapes, marshes, hills and fog, and abandoned buildings with roofs that leak. The meaning of water in his films isn't as interesting to me as the question of how his actors keep their feet reasonably dry. I don't even care about how the actors keep their feet dry, to be honest. What's really funny is there's a poster from this movie that uses part of this quote. It says, in the pull quote, it says, Andrei Tarkovsky may well be a film poet. And that's it. So if you really want to learn how pull quotes work, this is a great example of them pulling what's actually a negative pull quote, but pulling the one part that reads positive and sticking it on a poster to get butts in the seats. The plot of this one actually takes place in Italy and it was mostly in Italian, so that was kind of a fun change because I actually understand Italian. So I was like, I know what's happening without having to read subtitles. In this one, a man has come to Italy to research a Russian composer who at one point lived in Italy, got homesick, moved back to Russia, and then committed suicide. And so he's researching his time there. He has his name is also Andrei. He has a guide named Eugenia who is helping him translate. He meets a man named Domenico who is a little bit off. Earlier, he was committed to an asylum because he had trapped his family in his house for 7 years and would not let them leave. But all the asylums have closed, so now he's just out and about, which is very similar to what happened to people in California who found themselves in similar situations, and then Reagan let them all out, and they now mostly live on the street. So, anyways, the point is that Andrei finds that he understands Domenico a little bit because he sees that Domenico is trying to do things that make no sense, but he's doing them anyways, like trying to walk through a pool with a candle and other things. Eventually, everything goes to pot, and all the things that he's trying to do don't happen. He also has flashbacks of dreams with his wife, and a few that I think are just straight up male gazy dreams of his wife and his guide having like salacious relations together, but it's filmed in such a way that the two women aren't there for each other. They're there for him to gaze at, and it's awful, and it made me really uncomfortable. So stop using lesbianism as a sexy thing for men. Like, just don't do that. Just stop. So I didn't care for this movie. Maybe it wasn't the guide. I guess there's a couple of other women, but it was two women, and it was just gross. And the guide character was just all she wanted was sex, and it didn't seem like she had much of a life, an interior life. Definitely not. And it's just like, if these men and his characters get these massive interior lives where mostly what you see is them thinking and running around thinking, then the women should be able to have that too. And the Mirror managed to do that, and so it's disappointing knowing that a filmmaker can do something and then he doesn't, because he did it in one film, and it's like, you managed to do this well in one film. Can you just do that in your other films? I don't know. Of course, he worked on The Mirror for 10 years, so maybe he needs 10 years to work on a screenplay. I don't know. My cat is just being crazy. I gotta go feed her, I think. This is 1983's Nostalgia. It's on DVD, I think, from Kino, and it's on Filmstruck until Thursday. I have one Tarkovsky left, and then I'm done. And if you have questions, I will answer them for you. But I will probably never watch these movies again. So I'm glad I'm doing this. He really is a beautiful filmmaker. I want to reiterate that his films are beautiful. I just don't think that that is enough. So there you have it.